Oh, I didn't grab water. Eh, we'll see if I need it or not. I think I'm fine for right now, but I might get water. Okay, we're only doing episodes 1 through 14. I'm doing half of it, and then I'll do the other half tomorrow evening, because this is too many episodes. I'm gonna die. I can't. I'm gonna lose my voice. With definitely past halfway through it, so so we're just gonna do half of it today. All right, chapter 1, occupational hazards. Got our free new characters coming in. Their promise. When he came to, Yokononaka found himself in an unfamiliar place. He saw nobody else in the endless, white expanse that stretched out before him. Unease crept in, but the stronger feeling that came over him was the haziness in his head and an inability to move. Despite knowing that he shouldn't remain where he was, his eyelids began to flutter close as an overwhelming feeling of drowsiness blurred his senses. Yo! Yo! Come on, get over here! We can't start without you, you know. Those voices. At the sound of those familiar voices, he quickly lifted his head in order to trace where the sound was coming from. Huh? How are you two? Before him stood Ski and Slee, his childhood friends. For a fleeting moment, his heart leapt with joy at the sight. It was a short-lived, however. A deep feeling of unease washed over him and left Yo frozen in place. Why did something about this feel so wrong? Yo knew he needed to get to the bottom of those feelings. Geez, about time you responded. You seriously took forever. We've been waiting all this time for you, Yo. From what he could gather, they had called out to him more than once before he actually noticed. Unaware of Yo's discomfort, the two stared on at him with utterly bewildered expressions. Sorry, I'm just feeling kinda dizzy right now. We don't need any more space cadets. We've already got Ski here. Come on now. Wait, sorry. So come on, hurry up already. Time to go do our usual thing just like old times. Our usual thing? What are you talking about? Wait, what? Don't tell me you've forgotten our tradition, Yo. You know, where we do our promise gesture and say that we'll make our dream happen no matter what? Ah. Well, that usual thing is a promise gesture. He thought to himself as a worried smile formed on his lips. He had understood if they said so to start, but he supposed it was his own failure for not grasping their meaning from the onset. The outset. Man, you're totally spaced out today. No worries though, I'm sure it'll all come back to you soon enough. No point in stressing about it. For real, I mean, we've done hundreds of times. Doesn't matter if you've forgotten everything, Yo. Your soul definitely remembers our promise. You think so? He felt a flutter in his chest as he uttered a response. You bet. You wouldn't have mentioned our promise at a time like that otherwise. Lee rested his hand on Yo's shoulder, gripping it lightly as he spoke. The gesture embodied a brotherly sense of warmth and dependability. You gotta listen to your soul. It'll come back all on its own if you do. Okay, hold out your fist, Ski. We'll both wait until you can remember, Yo. Yeah, just follow our lead once, it comes back to you. Lee stuck out his fist, and Ski quickly followed suit. Yo did his best to recall their promise, but his head grew increasingly foggy with no sign at all that it cleared. Nevertheless, as he watched the two of them make the promise gesture with their fists, he felt his heart race in his chest. Would his soul really remember? At a moment, his lips began to move of their own will, almost as if someone else was in control. Promise. Let's become the strongest XP players, the three of us, as an unstoppable team. That's my... no. It's our wish. One the three of us are gonna achieve together. Nostalgia and familiarity enveloped Yo as he spoke those words. It left no doubt in his mind that he said those same words many times before. His heart was now filled with confidence that those words were true, spurred on by how easily we was able to speak them. But it was the very next moment that the world around him was swallowed by darkness. He couldn't help but shiver as a frigid fear rose up from the tips of his toes. My, what a wonderful dream. Such a shame it'll never come true. Huh? From behind him, Yo could hear a voice of a man speaking in a sweet and light tone. Reflexively, he looked back. Standing there was Zero, the masked man who had submerged Neo Tokyo into chaos. Why is Zero here? Why is he denying us of our dream? Fear gripped his entire body. In his chest, he could feel the weight of regret of that denied dream crushing him. He couldn't seem to move a single finger. It felt to him as if his body was sinking into mud. Quietly, Zero paused as he brushed his fingers against Yo's cheek. Whoa! Whoa! Birds in the space, man. You're surprisingly insensitive, aren't you? Surely you haven't forgotten that your precious friends were killed. You're lying. I mean, they're both right here. He was quick to deny Zero's assertions. Despite that, his heart felt completely shaken. He wished that Ski and Sui would back him up to deny Zero's words as well. But no matter how the moments passed, he didn't hear their voices. Why was that? He was never the type who could keep his mouth shut after hearing those type of remarks. Ski was always the one of the first to speak up and correct someone when they were wrong. Why was it that they remained silent, despite that? No, I'm being quite truthful, but not to worry. No matter how many times you forget, I'll be right here to trigger your memory. After all, I'm sure you can recall it vividly. The very moment their lives were extinguished. Just then, Zero snapped his finger next to Yo's ear, and he did so. Yo could feel a jolt of electricity surge through his head. In an attempt to save him, they had put themselves in danger by coming to 24 City. Zero had discovered them just as they were about to make their escape to the surface. At the moment, Space Envoy's Freeze a laser had struck them both and ended their lives. Their blood. Ski's expression as she apologized for not being able to keep their promise. That was the reality. That was what occurred right before his very own eyes. The rejection of reality that had built up in him came spilling out almost violently. Ugh! That's enough! The unbearable truth of the situation was driving him to madness as he yelled out. He clawed at his head. Darkness began to envelop Yo, as if in response to his cries. His vision soon faded to black. At the rate he was going, he was sure to become one with that darkness. That's fine. If I die here like this, I won't have to suffer anymore. Those were the thoughts that crossed Yo's mind. However, Zero wouldn't allow that come to pass. Instead, he took Yo's hand and pulled him out of the darkness, fully against his will. He couldn't fathom why Zero had done so. A moment later, Yo's consciousness faded completely. The music's too loud. I just want to make sure I'm okay. Just turning it down a little. Waking from a nightmare. What the? Was that a dream? Yo was drenched in a cold sweat when he awoke from his nightmare. Freed from the heavy weight of his dreams, He placed his hand on his chest in an attempt to calm the rapid pounding of his heart. After a moment, he realized he was at a stop. Atop. He was atop a bed in an unfamiliar room. Damn, that dream was the worst. I'll avenge you both, no matter what it takes. His dream had forced him to confront the brutal imagery of his childhood friend's death. Rage coursed through him, directed toward the one responsible, Zero. The flames of revenge had ignited in his chest, and his hands began to cramp from how tightly he kept them clenched. The room was almost eerily silent, which was enough for Yo to relax his grip just a little. After a moment, a single question arose in his mind. Come to think of it, how did I get here anyway? The last thing he could recall was that he'd been playing a game of XP against Zero. Now he was alone in his room. Though he'd just been with Kazuki and the others, they were now nowhere to be seen. He realized it would be up to him and him alone to investigate his surroundings and figure out just what was going on. With that thought in mind, he pulled himself out of the bed and surveyed the room. What caught his eye almost immediately were the countless lights twinkling from the other side of the window. Drawn to the sight, he approached the glass and take a look. Oh yeah, this view, and then this view, transparent. Wow, there are a ton of buildings here. So this is Shinagawa City, huh? The view has lined with skyscrapers, adorned with the logos of Neo Tokyo's most renowned companies. It served as an obvious symbol of Shinagawa's reputation for being a city of commerce. At least it matched the description given to him by Tsuruko, the girl who'd been wearing a school uniform. Given that he couldn't recall anything about the area, Tsuruko had given Yo a quick rundown of Shinagawa City's idiosyncrasies while running the bases. After a moment, Yo backed away from the window and took a better look at the room. So, does someone live here? Probably not. This place doesn't seem very homey. He took a lap around the room and made a note of the minimal furnishings and lack of any personal belongings. Yo coughed, his throat dry. He looked for something to drink. Soon, he found a bottle of water on the counter across the room. Not sure whose it is, but I guess I can just take it. He grabbed the bottle and quickly unscrewed the cap before bringing it to his mouth. He hadn't realized just how parched he was. Before he knew it, he gulped down the entire bottle. His gaze landed on what looked like a business card as he placed the empty bottle back down on the counter. The top portion of the card read, "Room cleaned except bed." Beneath it, Shinagawa Princess Hotel was written in gold ink. Yo traced the edge of the card with the tips of his fingers as he finally understood where exactly he was. Shinagawa Princess Hotel? A hotel? But why? He took note of his surroundings once more. A queen-sized bed, and a window that spanned the entire length of the wall. Elegant marble flooring, soft indirect lighting. Everything about the room undeniably felt like a luxury hotel. Even the faint, pleasant scent that was wafted through the air likely came from some sort of expensive air freshener. The more he considered all those factors, the less he could understand why he was even there to begin with. Okay, just calm down. I'm sure I can remember something if I just think everything through. He closed his eyes as he began to sift through his memories. The very last thing he could recall before losing consciousness was standing on home plate, focused on Zero's final pitch, the one they were betting the entire game on. Zero had snapped, and using an ability that seemed far beyond the capabilities of a normal human, had imbued the XP ball with a magenta aura before unleashing a blazing fastball. Anyway, sorry, excuse me. Yo recalled using all the power he could muster when he swung at the pitch. However, did my bat actually connect with that pitch? I couldn't remember anything beyond that. From what he could tell, he lost consciousness the moment he hit the ball. While he was undeniably worried about the outcome of the game, it was far more worried about the safety of Kazuki and the others. Maybe I should head outside. They might be nearby. Slowly, he made his way to the room's heavy door. When he was just a few steps away, a rattling sound of the doorknob turning caught his attention. Who could that be? Yo tensed up at the unexpected visitor. Who could that be? Find out next episode. Impossible reunion. I feel great. Ski? Yo was completely flabbergasted. The blonde girl humming a tune before him was undeniably Ski Iroha. Oh, yo, you're finally awake! Good to see you up and about again. I was getting kind of worried, since you didn't even budge no matter how many times I tried to wake you. He was quick to joyously approach Yo as soon as he was in her line of sight. Yo, on the other hand, found himself frozen in place by a reunion he didn't think possible. She'd been killed right before his eyes. For her to be standing before him just couldn't be possible. Whoa, you're totally pale. Still feeling sick? Ski's expression contorted to one of concern in response to Yo's reaction. No, it's just that... His eyes narrowed. Gaze focused on Ski's face. Blonde hair, adorned with pink ribbons, slender but toned, and expressive features that seem ever-changing. There was no denying that the girl before him looked just like Ski he'd known, the very one who died that day. Not a single feature seemed to be out of place. Could it really be her? Even if it really was her, Yo didn't want to believe that he gained some sort of supernatural ability to see ghosts, like something out of an occult fiction. Still, nothing would be resolved by keeping quiet. It took a moment for him to muster the courage, but as he looked into her eyes, he spoke. Are you really Ski? You're not some kind of ghost or doppelganger, right? The question escaped his lip timidly as he realized he was asking something of a strange question. Wow, how rude. Wait, sorry. Wow, rude. You really think I went and died too, yo? I'm the real deal. I'm the one and only Ski Iroha. Kaku Ichitaro and the others were treating me like I'm like some kind of ghost too. That joke sucks, you know. But didn't you get killed by one of Zero's laser back there? Honestly, I don't really get it either. But I'm alive, so it's fine, right? No need to overthink it. Ski grinned brightly as she spoke. Her demeanor remaining this way, despite the weight of the topic at hand, caused Yo to consider that maybe it was silly to read too deeply into it. No, you do need to think deeply into this. It's not natural to die and just get revived and act like I'm fine. It must have been some kind of trick, an illusion created by Zero. After all, he'd seen the laser pierce her skull, yet there she was, standing before him without any sign of injury. I have no idea what's going on either, but I'm glad you're alive. I really thought you were dead, so I'm just happy to see you again. A wave of relief washed over Yo. Oh, hey, what about Sui? If you're okay, then he must be too, right? Ski was alive, so theoretically, the same should have been true for Sui as well. Anxiety and anticipation lined his tone in equal measure as he asked. Well, obviously, haven't run into him yet, but I'm sure he's fine. I mean, Sui was fine when he got run over by that truck. At the time he fell out of that building too, so he even got through being attacked by a school of piranhas. What? Ski's grin widened as she recounted stories from the past as a way of answering Yo's question. Are we really talking about a human here? Not some kind of robot or something? Yo couldn't help the arch of his brow as she recalled such strange stories. What sort of circumstances would have even led to being attacked by a school of piranhas? Question, but she's laughing, smiling. Anyway, it's all good. Sui's definitely okay. You just have to trust me as your childhood friend. If I say he's fine, then he's absolutely, positively, 100% fine. The desperation in Ski's reaction gave Yo a bit of a start. After all, unlike Ski, nobody had been able to confirm that Sui was alive. A laser had pierced right through his body, every detail, down to the color of the blood that had gushed from the open wounds, had been clearly etched into Yo's memories. Logically, it wouldn't make any sense for him to have survived. Somehow it felt more rational to assume a miracle had saved Ski. Regardless, Ski chose to believe that Sui was alive. Even though the odds of that were astronomically low, Yo had no intention of tossing that hope aside. Suddenly, the images from 24 City came flooding back into his mind. Back then, Ski had been so curious about rescuing Yo and helping to recover his lost memories. Her endlessly bright smile had been what saved him from a descent into despair. Ski's strong belief in them was, after all, the reason why he'd been able to trust his childhood friends despite not having any memories of her or Sui. That's why I'll believe too. In the same things, Ski also believes in hopes. Yeah, you said it. Sui is definitely alive. I bet he's out there looking for us right now. Yuppers! You totally get it! But in his sense of direction sucks. So we gotta go find him. Haha, directionally challenged, huh? I guess it's gonna take a while to track him down then. Almost as if thrilled that someone else believed Sui was still alive, Ski responded with a gleeful hop. As anxiety finally began to melt away, they were interrupted by an electronic beeping sound. Huh? What was that sound? Is it coming from me? Come on, are you still half asleep or something? That was a 9 notification. Take out your phone and check your messages. Ski offered him a look of exasperation. That's when you'll realize he was carrying a smartphone. Same notification alert came from Ski's phone. After a moment, they both hurriedly pulled out their phones and opened the 9 app. There. Kazuki Ayoma add Yo Kuronaka to the Trash Tribe group. Yeah, Ayoma added Ski Iroha to the Trash Tribe group. Kazuki Ayoma added Sui Yakumo to the Trash Tribe group. Error. Sui Yakumo cannot be added. Please try again later. A string of system messages appeared in the app. What's this? Trash Tribe? Group? That was what Yo intended to ask Kazuki over 9. However, since he hadn't used a phone in quite a while, he actually sent one of the default bear stickers instead. He attempted to delete it, but Kazuki responded too quickly. Our sleeping beauty awakens. How are you feeling? Kazuki, can you quit it with the weird nicknames? It's embarrassing. Aw, but it works so well. There's nobody else who fits that description quite like you. Something similar had happened when they first met in 21st City. Kazuki had teased Yo, calling him a little hero. Given that they were around the same age, Yo didn't appreciate being teased in that manner. What? Wait, they're around the same age? Not the same age? I really don't think so about that. Isn't he older than you? Oops, that's my bad. Wait, where am I? I lost myself. Oh, wait. Image. Okay, yeah, okay, that part. Here. Kazuki continued to type another message, but was interrupted by Q, who had sent a sticker of a penguin saying, "Cut it out." Oh, that's so cute! After that, Kazuki stopped. Suddenly stopped typing. Had Q not interjected, it was likely that Kazuki's teasing would have continued. Yo's lips quirked upward into a weary smile. Only Q would, tell Kazuki to stop. Okay, okay. I've never heard of that name before. What city does this tribe belong to? Unbothered by the conversation happening in the chat, Ski changed the subject by asking about the thing that had caught her attention. Huh? I thought I explained that before we left 21st City. Well, whatever. Trash Tribe doesn't have any ties to a particular city. It's functionally just a team that exists to rebel against Zero. We'd like the two of you to join. What do you say? Just seconds after Kazuki's message appeared in the chat, it was followed by pleading stickers sent by Miu, Koishi, and Tsuruko. Yo had been made aware of the fact that Kazuki and the others had been working as a team in 21st City, but he hadn't realized they had a name. Trash Tribe had rescued him and his friends multiple times in 21st City. Had it not been for them, Yo was sure he'd be still locked up, racking up training as the hero. Filled with a sense of obligation for all they'd done for him, he began to type up his acceptance message before he could send it. Yes, yes, Yo, Sweet, and me are all in. Count all three of us in. Ski's message came up in the chat first. Yo reflexively looked away from the screen after reading the message, side-eyeing Ski. I'm all for joining up with them, but is it really okay to side for Sui too? Yeah, duh. There's no reason Sui would be against it. Giving her confidence, Yo could imagine Sui responding just as enthusiastically as Ski had. Fair enough. Since Ski had answered on his behalf, the screen was being filled with messages from the others. It seemed they were concerned over whether or not he was okay with the decision. Figuring it would be better to clarify for himself, he quickly sent them a simple response of his own. Glad to be part of the team. Likewise, having more members on the team is reassuring. A wave of messages and stickers welcoming Yo and Ski soon flooded the chat. It wasn't long before Yo remembered something important he needed to get clarification about. That reminds me, how did the XP game against Zero end? His message instantly took the wind out of everyone's sticker sending sales. Wow, way to kill the mood, Yo. Oh, I forgot to mention that part, didn't I? My apologies. Simply put, we lost. It was a pretty close call though. He had figured as much, given the wording of their invitation and what followed, but it still felt like a shock to the system to hear that they lost. Yo scrunched his nose in frustration, but when he considered the fact that everyone was safe, well, that was enough for the time being. I can give you a detailed rundown in person. Sounds good? I have something to ask Ski as well, so let's meet down at the first floor lounge. I'll head over there now. With a quick confirmation of the conversation was over, Yo shoved his phone back into his pocket. We wanted to meet with Kazuki to discuss everything in detail as soon as possible. Yo asked Ski if she could lead the way to the lounge, and she was quick to lead the way. The Shinagawa Princess Hotel. They exited the room out to a hallway with a fluffy carpet. Yo followed Ski to an elevator, surprised to learn of the way it had to be operated. As a security measure, a keycard had to be touched against the panel in order to select the floor they wished to go to. Additionally, it was only possible to go to the publicly available floors or the floor where your room was located. Yo has surmised that it was a luxury hotel already from the quality of the room, but this seemed to be on another level. That wasn't the only thing that left him surprised. As the elevator doors reopened, a spacious lobby appeared before him. Beneath their feet was a polished marble floor, and the area was adorned with sculptures and other contemporary art. Overwhelmed by his surroundings, Yo could only blink a few times in succession as he took in the sight. Whoa, it's like a museum in here. Hehe, cool, right? It makes sense since the Shinagawa Princess caters to all of Neo Tokyo's bigwigs. The lobby is the face of the hotel, and they make sure it packs a punch. No kidding, it's pretty amazing. Normally, that was where there'd be some sort of snappy retort and a smug look in the response, but the sight was so overwhelming that all Ski offered was a nod. A moment later, Yo had a realization that sent a shiver down his spine. There's no way I could afford a hotel that's expensive. Maybe I should go. Maybe I should swallow my pride and ask Kazuki if he can loan me some cash to cover it. No, that guy never let me hear the end of it if I did that. I can't imagine AJ would be any easier to ask, given his personality. I wonder who I could ask. Until just moments ago, he'd been sleeping in a bed in a room on the 10th floor. Given that he slept there, it was only natural he have to pay for his accommodations. But all he had was the balance on his phone, and he knew there was no way that'd be enough to cover the costs. As he considered— how do you know that, yo? You go check your account yourself, but because you lost your memories. I mean, obviously he probably is not gonna be as rich, but still, how would you know? What if he magically is rich? Anyways, as he considered his options for how to come up with the money, a nearby woman tapped her heels against the floor before speaking up to get his attention. Please don't concern yourself with the cost. Our hotel is currently offering free lounging to those who've been affected by Zero's invasions. You can relax. Please enjoy your stay, free of charge. Oh, must be nice. The woman who explained the situation to him was one of average height, neatly dressed in a black pantsuit. When she finished speaking, she bowed to him slightly. Yo found himself caught off guard by her refined demeanor. Oh, and you are? My apologies for not introducing myself sooner. I'm the Shinagawa Princess Hotel's manager. Hehe, I'm glad to see that you're back on your feet, Mr. Kuranaka. Yo, you seriously owe this lady your life. Not just because she's letting us stay here, but because she's the one who found us after we got knocked out. She brought us all here and treated our injuries. She totally saved our butts. So that's how I end up here, huh? With a newfound understanding of the circumstances that led him to the hotel, Yo proceeded to bow in gratitude to the manager. Thank you for everything you've done. You really saved us. I only did what anyone else would do. Please don't worry about it. With a slight shake of her head, a modest smile appeared on the manager's face. Yo raised his head back to an upright position and was relieved to see her unchanged demeanor. The manager then put her hands in her pockets before she spoke once more. I received these from a child of one of our guests earlier. Please feel free to help yourself if you like. She pulled out a handful of candy, cute and neatly wrapped. Oh, candy! Are you sure? Of course, go ahead, right ahead. At the manager's urging, they each took a piece of candy from her outstretched palm. Thanks a ton! Can't wait to try it. While Yo had his eyes intently trained on the candy in his hand, he was quick to unwrap it and pop it right into mouth. Thank you! Yummy! You wasted no time at all, huh? You know how big my sweet tooth is? Aren't you gonna eat yours, Yo? Or maybe I should take it off your hands instead. Her eyes sparkled longingly at the candy in Yo's hand. I'll eat it later. Yo responded as he tucked the treat in his pocket, but Ski didn't relent. Huh? You're gonna forget all about it if you shove it in your pocket like that. Come on, give it up already. Ski shook Yo's arm as she pleaded, to which he could feel his frustration rising. You're being annoying. His words were as thoughtless as they were sharp. Hehe, it seems that you two are quite close. Please feel free to reach out should you need anything. Ah, right. Thanks so much. The manager watched at their interactions with a smile for a moment longer. She paused to look at her watch, then deciding it was best for her to return to her duties. With a slight bow, she took her leave. Once the manager was no longer in line of sight, Yo followed up with Kazuki, who was still making his way there. They found a pair of leather sofas facing one another and elected to sit there as they passed the time until Kazuki arrived. The cause of defeat. Yo's eyes were trained on Ski's phone as they waited. With a photo of Trash Tribe up on her screen, he pointed to each member, muttering each name as he tried to commit them all to memory. Okay, so this one is Miu, and then that's Shio. It's Gio, not Shio. Ah, right, man. Remembering people's names is pretty tough. He gave the back of his head a scratch, and he lamented his mistake. Even though he had the intent of memorizing all the names of his new teammates, he kept getting them mixed up. These were the people he'd be fighting alongside going forward. To mess up their names would be incredibly rude. So with Ski's help, he was working to link faces to names. Just as he finally managed to get a handle properly identifying everyone, a sound coming from the leather sofa opposite of them reached their ears. Yo and Ski looked up to find Kazuki and Kyu were seated directly across from them. Sorry to keep you waiting for so long. Let's just jump right into it. With that, Kazuki proceeded to move the conversation along. The main topic at hand was, of course, the game's final pitch. It had been the deciding outcome in the game against Zero. That very pitch, the one Zero had unleashed, and Yo somehow managed to hit right back. All of the members of Trash Tribe had begun to cheer at that unexpected hit. However, Yo had burned all of his strength with that final swing. With that, he lost consciousness and collapsed, resembling a marionette whose string had been cut. XP was a game based on baseball's rules. If the hitters didn't advance to the next base, then those on the other bases couldn't make their way to the home plate, which was to say that their hands had been completely tied at that point. That was how Trash Tribe had victory snatched from them, even though it had been right in their grasp. I seriously can't believe I passed out at such a critical moment. I'm sorry, I owe everyone on the team an apology. After hearing that whole story from Kazuki, Yo's knees went weak and the color drained from his face. It was a game so crucial that they staked their futures on it. Yo could feel his anxiety building. He couldn't believe he'd been the reason they lost a game of such importance. This was our loss. It's not just on you. Exactly. Things might have ended up worse if you hadn't been part of the team. That's not true. I know you're trying to be considerate, but this is my fault. If I just managed to keep it together and made it to first base, then you all wouldn't have been dragged into this mess. The more the others showed him concern, the more his guilt mounted. The air around him felt heavy and weighted. Kazuki seemed unbothered by it though. He continued on, the corners of his mouth still turned up in a smile. Haha, you're pretty self-conscious, huh? It was our choice to get involved, so don't worry about that part so much. We took a gamble on your potential. That was a conscious decision on our part. We've got no regrets about it. So don't need to beat yourself over what happened. We knew what we were getting into when we decided to come to 24th City. Kazuki nodded. That's why nobody is blaming you for our loss to Zero. When it comes to XG, we're just going to have to combine our strength and do the best we can. So don't you think it's about time you quit moping? We've got enough moody types on the team as it is. Kazuki did his best to encourage Yo in his own way. His playful banter displayed a manner of kindness, one specifically aimed at relieving Yo of the burden he placed on himself. Q, on the other hand, didn't say much at all, but his gaze remained kind. Thanks. I feel a little better now. Yo expressed his gratitude as his own gaze lifted. Mind if I ask something? Her hands were trembling slightly as she inquired. What's up, Ski? Sorry, I'm trying to keep up with the conversation, but there are some things I just don't get. What's XG? Don't you mean XP? No, he's right. XG is the name of the game we're going to be playing from now on. Huh? Wait, so that meaning the governing rules are different? Ski's eyes darted around a bit confused. All the while, Yo was stumped by her phrasing. Governing rules? What are those? Oh, right, I guess you don't know what those are since you've been in 21st City all this time. Acknowledging Yo's gap in knowledge on the topic, she began to explain. When Zero took over Neo Tokyo, new rules were established for all the different cities. Those are called governing rules. Everyone in Neo Tokyo is forced to abide by them. Breaking any of them or losing is punishable by death. So that's what you all meant when you said all the cities on the surface had been caught up in the games? Mm-hmm. That's why I still don't really get the difference between the governing rules and XG. Seeing their confusion, XG is a game that uses the governing rules just with teams selected by Zero. The easiest way of putting it would be to view it as an extreme death game that's played while using the governing rules. Q explained how the game worked as simply as he could. That's not all either. You better brace yourself for the real shocker. Who our opponents are. Supposedly, it's going to be the numbers we've heard rumors about. The games we've got coming up are gonna be pretty different from the ones we're used to. No doubt they're going to be pretty thrilling, to say the least. You've gotta be kidding me. It's already tough enough trying to survive out there. Now you're saying it's gonna be even harder? I wish I were kidding. Zero is really setting the stage for a tough battle. The numbers. Those were the special players that Zero had gathered. Champions who had already survived the system of the governing rules. Defeating them would be no easy task. Yo and Ski's expressions both clouded over with exhaustion and worry with the news of what the future held. With their feelings in mind, Q bought them warm drinks from one of the vending machines. His appearance was a bit intimidating, but the longer Yo spent around Q, the more he could see he was a kind-hearted person. Unable to decide what he should get to drink, Ski selected a green tea for Yo. It seemed that it was a brand he liked prior to losing his memories. Once he took a sip, he could feel the familiar wave of nostalgia rise in his chest. There was no doubt that the tea was a favorite of his. Tension began to drain and gave way to casual conversation. A short while later, everyone's phones beep at their notification sounds. They all took their phones out and opened 9. Anyone know where Enoki went? Let me know if any of you have seen her. It seemed that Hyaku Ichitaro was looking for Enoki. The tone of his message made it seem rather serious. She was with me just a second ago, but she's not here now. I haven't seen her. One by one, the team replied to the message, but none of them seemed to know where she'd gone. Hey, Kazuki. Yeah, I think it's possible that Enoki might be in some kind of trouble. Everyone's expressions tense as they prepared themselves for a potentially dire situation. Kazi was quick to open 9 to type a message to further inquire about the situation. Damn it, that little punk! She just left me here and ran off on her own! What a pain in my ass! Before Kazuki could send a message, Hyaku Ichitaro sent another message, accompanied by a sticker of a demon waving an iron club. Everyone exchanged glances at one another. It seemed possible that there was nothing to worry about after all. Calm down, Hyaku Ichitaro. Can you start by telling us what happened? Even those not present appeared to be thinking along similar lines. Me and Enoki had a sweets party at the Princess Hotel, and then we were walking around kinda aimlessly after that. But then the manager came up to us and told us to clean up the mess we made. Oh no. So I started cleaning up, but the next thing I knew, Enoki was just gone. Yo slumped in his seat as quickly lost interest in the anticlimactic story. Oh, it's actually not a dire situation, I guess. Well, that makes sense. I can't believe you two would cause so much trouble for the hotel, considering how much they're doing for us. The other members of the chat expressed their exasperation, but Hyaku Ichitaro was unrelenting in how seriously he took the situation. I get it, I know I screwed up, but this mess is way too much for one person to clean up. Please, come help if you're free. No one sent a response, despite the desperation in Hyaku Ichitaro's message. Hey, what should we do? Looks like nobody's actually gonna help him. Ski sounds sympathetic towards Hyaku Ichitaro, even as she put her phone away. You read what you saw, right, Kazuki? No arguments from there. Honestly, what were they thinking? What were they even thinking? Kazuki's smile faded as he crushed the empty can he was holding. No! Well, I hope you drank all of that. Losing our base of operations right now would be a huge setback. It'd probably be best for us to help clean up, just to make sure we stay in the manager's good graces. Yo and Ski found themselves taken back by Kazuki's expression of frustration. Q, on the other hand, remained calm as ever as he expressed his thoughts. Q's response seemed to set Kazuki at ease. After a deep breath, he smiled once more. Oh, it's so cute. Oh, Kazuki. Only Q can make you calm down, doesn't he, huh? Good point. Well then, shall we go help them out? They came to agreement that the right thing to do was to help a friend in need. With that settled, Yo took out his phone once more and sent a message to Hyaku Ichitaro. Involuntary cleaning. 1 hour later, Yo, along with the other three, met up with Hyaku Ichitaro to clean up one of the Shinagawa Princess Hotel's lounge's corners. Given the size of the lounge, they hadn't noticed that Hyaku Ichitaro and Enoki had their sweets party on the opposite side of the room. The area was a complete mess, with both leftovers and empty packaging everywhere. They even managed to spill juice. It was truly almost impressive just how much of a mess the two of them had made. Jeez, they didn't even drink either, or anything like that. How do you guys make that mess? It was a scene straight from hell. Thankfully, the manager had been willing to lend them some cleaning supplies. Gradually, the area began to return to its former beauty. Phew! It looks a lot better now. No kidding. Seeing everything all spotless feels so good. Ski replied with a smile on her face. However, hey, Kazuki, what have you been up to anyway? You've been on your phone for a while now. Don't tell me you just been playing games over there. She seemed to be bothered by the fact that Kazuki was slacking on their cleaning tasks. Rude, I wasn't slacking off, you know. I'm making preparations for our XG match. Kazuki had been helping with the cleaning when they first arrived. However, partway through the task, he received a message and shifted his focus to his phone. He has poked him with a duster, but he just brushed off the dust left behind without taking his eyes off his phone. I wasn't looking for any excuses. I'm just gonna make sure to let Q know later. Displeased with Kazuki's response, Ski huffed, her cheeks expanding like a pufferfish. It didn't make much of a difference, though, since Q didn't offer any follow-up attack. He just let it happen. Despite being told by the manager that they only need to clean the section Hyaku Ichitaro and Enoki had been using, he hadn't stopped at that corner. Q was quietly cleaning up the entranceway with the broom. Oh, look at Q! He's so sweet. Which meant he hadn't heard their conversation, kept to himself as he cleaned. Oh, cute. he's so cute. Hey! What are you doing? Ichitaro let some strange sounding groans from the spot next to where Yo had been sweeping up crumbs. I found a Castella Kate with the cleaning supplies, but I just can't get the damn packaging open! He was using his teeth to try and tear open the plastic packaging that held the square-shaped yellow item rather than tear through. The plastic only stretched. Hey yo, you want some? I'll give you a bite if I can get it open. As he realized he's unable to open it on his own, he pulled the packaging away from his mouth and began to negotiate with Yo instead. A sweet Castella Kate would pair well with his bitter tea. But just as he was about to agree to help Pyaku Ichitaro's terms, he recalled that it was found among the cleaning supplies. Isn't that a sponge? There's no chance you don't make yourself sick by eating that. He stopped and took a closer look, and he could see from the shape and color that it really did look like a Castella cake. Closer inspection, however, confirmed his suspicions that it was actually a dish sponge. Wait, seriously? Crap. I was just about to eat it too. So you also turn into a monster when you're hungry. Guess I can't really complain about just Enoki this way. The words slipped easily from Yo's mouth as he recalled the way Enoki had eaten those strange herds back in 24th City. Huh? What did you say? Ichitaro glared intensely, but his youthful appearance wasn't threatening enough to face Yo. Nothing at all. How about we just focus on getting everything cleaned up? Gotcha. Damn, I really got my hopes up about that Castella. Perhaps he still wanted to give it a bite. Ichitaro pocketed the sponge instead of returning it to the stock of cleaning. Why are you pocketing it? By the time they finished up with their cleaning and began to gather up the remaining trash, the others began to gather at the entrance. It appeared that Kazuki had asked the other members of Trash Try to meet up there. He was among them, and she didn't hesitate to call out cheerfully to Ichitaro, who was still cleaning. I'm back! Did you get all the cleaning finished up? Enoki! Where have you been? I found her napping in the garden, and snoring to boot. I'm feeling so good after that nap. Huh? So you were just snoozing while the rest of us had to clean up a mess you helped make? You're dead to me. Or you will be when I'm through with you. The innocent smile tugging at her lips sap away the last of Ichitaro's patience. His face flushed bright red as he raised his hand towards Enoki. Calm down, Ichitaro. I don't think she meant any harm with her actions. Amid the crowd that had gathered, it was Koichi, the most timid of the group, who had stepped in to mediate. No one asked you. Just get out of my way. Come on. Remember what your brother said? You have to be kind to girls. Damn it. After that, Ichitaro suddenly went quiet. You have a point. My bad. I was real close to ditching my brother's teaching there. It's fine. I'm just glad you calmed down. Just as it seemed like everything had been settled, Eiji looked over to Ichitaro with a smug smirk on his lips. Speaking of which, I heard there was some broke imbecile who mistook a dish sponge for a Castella cake. Just who was that again? Wait, how did you hear about that? Okay, what? How did you even hear about that? Ichitaro went red in the face once more, this time looking much like a boiling kettle about to let out steam. Haha. Well, based on the reaction, it's safe to say it's true. That was pretty dumb of you, don't you think? Everyone began to chuckle at the change of topic. Wait, stop! That doesn't explain the question. How do you know about that? Because otherwise, I had the other guys who snitched. I don't know, do that. All right. Everyone began to chuckle at the change of topic. Yo, on the other hand, was a bit baffled as to how they all knew about it, despite not being there when it happened. Hee. Ski told us that night. Oh, it's Ski. She snitched. Huh? Why would you even do that? Haha, it's just too funny. So I just... Ski, you little punk. Ski glossed over her actions by sticking her tongue out at Hyaku Ichitaro. Yo had been so focused on the cleaning that he hadn't noticed the way Hyaku Ichitaro's mistaken sponge situation had blown up in the chat. As a result, Hyaku Ichitaro's easily shifted targets away from Enoki and over to Ski. They hadn't even managed to finish cleaning, yet the conversation kept getting derailed. Yo emitted a small sigh. A moment later, he felt a light poke against his arm. He dropped his gaze and noticed Tsuruko standing there. Is there any way... Is there anything I can help you all out with, Yo? All we got left is gathering the trash and throwing it out. Thanks for offering, though. Hey, Ski, where did you put the rest of the trash bags? He called out to Ski, who was still preoccupied with Hyaku Ichitaro. Oh, just a sec. I'll go grab them. Her eyes lit up. Thrilled by the chance to escape her current situation, she wasted no time to dart away in the direction of the reception desk. The mysterious plushie. Whoa, what's this? This wasn't here before. Ski shrieked excitedly as she approached the reception desk. Did you find something over there? Sure did. Look at this, guys. Isn't this plushie so ugly cute? Ski made her way back to the group, skipping as she held a strange plush toy that resembled some manner of a dog or pig. It's so soft too. I can't believe how squishable it is. I want one for myself. I wonder if I can buy these around here somewhere. As she frolicked around with childlike Twinsy, the others will watch on with smiles. Then a moment later, Kiki, I'm delighted you feel that way, but I'm not for sale, you know. No matter how much money you offer, I can't be sold. The plushie began to speak. Oh, so cool! I had no idea they make talking plushies these days. Just so you know, saying you're not for sale makes me want one even more. I wonder if I can buy it online. Are you sure that's not... Are you sure that's really a... Wait, even really a plushie? Even if they make talking ones? This seems kind of excessive. Agreed. If you ask me, this is a little too high-tech for a toy. Ski may have been having the time of her life, but the rest of the group grew increasingly wary of the strange situation. Hey, Gio, do you... Yeah, there's something dangerous about it. Miu and Gio were the two that watched on with the most concern. Ski, get away from that thing. It's not a normal plushie. The two quickly dome helmet shaped XV gear with near lightning speed. They drew knives and made their approach. You shouldn't interrupt people when they're talking. I really loathe that. Still, the plushie was quick to jump out of Ski's grasp. As it did a mid-air flip, it erected a barrier that resembled the water's surface. Miu and Gio's knives bounced off the newly created invisible wall, and the two were flung backward from the impact. Are you both alright? If you're hurt at all, please show me where. We're fine, but we need to get that plush... Sorry, excuse me. But we need to get that plushie and fast. Miu and Gio rolled themselves into a defensive stance, having seemingly avoided any visible injuries. Despite that, lingering signs of impact could be felt in their arms. The two grimaced as they pulled themselves into a kneeling position, forearms clutched as they attempted to regain the composure. Or their composure, sorry. You gotta be kidding me. Did the plushie seriously do that? Just do that? Shock was visible on Ski's face as she tried to reconcile the fact that the cute plushie had just injured her teammates. Come on, Ski, get back! You're right, it's not a normal toy. Yo was quick to grab Ski's wrist and quickly pulled her away from the plushie. Just what the hell are you anyway? In response to Yo's question, the plushie responded with over-the-top, forced crocodile tears. So cold, so cruel. Don't tell me you've already forgotten about me, Yo. Yo found himself irritated by the tone of the plushie took with him. He couldn't deny, though, that its voice felt vaguely familiar. I guess that's not too surprising now. I'm so cute now. I'm very recognizable. That's all right. I think I have just the thing to jog your memories. Just give me 1 second to put it on for you. Just then, the space in front of the plushie warped into a cute portal of darkness. What? Wait, that's cute. What? One size in such a way that could only fit with a small plush body. And then, after some mumbling and rustling, the plush reappeared wearing the metal mask that a familiar man had been wearing. We meet again, Trash Tribe. Are you all doing well? It's me, Zero, the very Zero you all know and love. The airy and deceptively sweet voice was undoubtedly Zero's. What kind of bag joke is that? There's no way Zero will look so stupid. I know, right? Zero is way scarier than this thing. Seriously, that guy is way more menacing than you, Pipsqueak. Keep dreaming. We know that's a low bull. Despite sharing both a mask and a voice of Zero, none of the group truly believed it was him. Such meanies, all of you. I figured you'd be all terrified if I appeared in my usual form, so I elected to use this cute one instead. And what do I get for it? Y'all treat me like I'm a fraud. I'm devastated. The plushie reverted to its original tone as the free strands of hair on its head began to dejectedly drop. Wait, let me look at... Oh, you do? I don't remember. I know he looks like this. I just don't remember every single small details. Where am I? There we go. Well, since you don't believe me to be Zero, I suppose I'll just have to prove it to you. Come forth, my drone army. As soon as those words were spoken, the plushie slammed its mask into the ground and spun around. A number of military drones replied to the call, rushing in through the front entrances, automatic doors. The rotors began to kick up dust. A cold shiver ran down the spines of the group at the sight that had appeared before them. These are the same sort of drones as what Zero uses, aren't they? You're telling me that plushie's actually Zero for real then? You couldn't help but to voice his surprise. Damn. Whether that's Zero or not, escaping needs to be our priority right now. Time to make a grand exit. As AG had said, their top priority was escape. The drones were moving to surround the group. They had no way of knowing what would happen next. Were they be caught? But how do we even do that? Do you think we can get out through the front entrance? They took steps backward as they tried to seek an escape route. As they contemplated, the distinct sound of the elevator rang out in the lobby. Perfect timing! Come on, guys, let's use the elevator! In unison, they all began to run towards the elevator. Okay, we're all in. Close the doors, quick! You don't have to tell me twice. The elevators closed after a moment, cutting off the drone's pursuit. And with that, the sound of the elevator's gears turning began to reverberate inside the small box. The outcome of the dramatic escape. Phew, that was a close one. No kidding. That elevator had perfect timing. Though they all had exhaled sighs of relief, they knew they still had to contend with the main issue at hand. Where can we even go from here? He'll definitely corner us if we stay in the hotel. We can get off at the 10th floor. From there, we can make our way outside using an access bridge. Yo had thought that the front entrance would be the only means of escape. He hadn't realized that there was an access bridge on the 10th floor they'd be able to use as an alternative. That would be the best course of action, however. So, are these buttons busted or something? I'm pressing one for the 10th floor, but it's not lighting up. What floor are we going to then? Whoa, we're flying past every floor! The group's key cards had only left them travel between the lobby and the 10th floor, but the floor indicator quickly shot beyond that number. 20, 30, as the number went up, the sounds coming from the elevator's motor seemed to grow louder. Damn, if this keeps up, then we'll end up... The elevator showed no sign of slowing down. It blew past the 40th floor, the last floor guests were permitted. Ding! With the final sway, the elevator finally came to a stop. They were met with a chilly breeze when the doors finally opened, their hairs and clothes flooding from the cool air. Their final destination was the roof. The breathtaking visual of Shinagawa's evening cityscape stretched out before them. For a short-lived moment, they found themselves rendered speechless by the scene. It didn't take long for them to recall their situation, however. After all, once they dropped their gazes, flower. I bid you welcome to the rooftop. Hehe, isn't that the view from here just to die for? What a wonderful sight to be able to see all of Shinagawa from here. Zero and his drones had been awaiting for their arrival, despite the fact that he should have still been at the hotel's entrance. This is bad. Our only escape route at this point would be to jump. Something so cute shouldn't have such an awful personality. There isn't much that's worse than giving us false hopes like that. Even if they wanted to go back to the way they came, it was impossible. The drones had already surrounded the elevator. Did they like step out? I would just like stay there. I'm like, no, bye. But I mean, obviously, I hacked the system, so they couldn't really go anywhere. There was nowhere left for them to turn. Yo took a moment to brace himself for whatever was to come before he fixed his gaze on Zero. Why did you lead us all the way up to the roof? You can't seriously tell me you wanted to enjoy the nighttime view together. I came to explain XG to you, but there are just too many of you trash tribe people. So I thought this would be the perfect opportunity to thin out the hurt a bit. Zero's explanation was accompanied with a smile, as if his cruel suggestions were anything but. Huh? What's that supposed to mean? Yo raised his voice in response, but Zero did a little more than look all over trash tribe members before him. Then after a moment, he offered a satisfied nod before he spoke. Alright, eliminations have been decided. If you hear your name, you're out. Kazuki, Roku, Enoki, Koishi, Miu, and Gio. Drone Army, please collect the 6 people of name. Immediately after he gave the order, the drones rushed out to the trash tribe members that he had called out. Of course, they didn't intend on going down without fight. They did their best to swat away the rollers and squirm to escape their grasp. Their frantic resistance continued on for a while. It was futile, however, as they were greatly outnumbered. Using a combination of their arms and wire as restraints, the drones soon captured all 6 members of the team. With that task done, they were then lifted into the air. Hey! This again! Oh, it's those fun flying things again, yeah? Lucky us. We have to go on another ride. It's no use. These things are too damn strong. It would seem surrender is our only option. The only path to destruction now would also mean self-sacrifice. I let my guard down. If only I realized that it was Zero sooner. Kazuki! Hugh gasped as he reached out desperately to get Kazuki back. Oh, free him! No, actually, free everyone. Hey, don't go making faces like that. I'm sure he's just trying to separate us. Kazi had already accepted the outcome of the situation. That was why he steeled himself and addressed Q in a more gentle tone, as if to pacify a stubborn younger brother. The most important thing right now is to keep an eye on Yo and the others. Do your best to guide them in my stead. Okay, that's enough of the sappy goodbyes. Catch you on the flip side, everyone. Once Zero finished, the 6 who had been captured were carried away into the night sky. How could this have happened? We lost half of our team in the blink of an eye. We've got the number of people here just right. How satisfying getting such a big mess cleaned up so neatly. Anywho, it's quite windy up here, isn't it? It's high time we return to the lobby to finish our discussion. Okay, fine, it's not like we've got any choice right now anyway. With half of their team dispersed, Yo was aware that they didn't stand a chance of defeating Zero head-on at the moment. At the drone's urging, they had resigned themselves to their fate and boarded the elevator once more. Suck up, lay off, survive. Upon their return to the lobby, Zero demanded that everyone sit on the sofas. They were the very same ones that Yosuke, Kazuki, and Q had been using earlier. They were all seated. Once they were all seated, Zero eagerly climbed atop of the tables. Alright, I'll start explaining the Shinagawa governing rules, so be sure to listen carefully. He spoke with a rising enthusiasm in his tone. The name of Shinagawa's governing rules are, drumroll please, ta-da! Suck up, lay off, survive. Put it simply, it's a game where the city of Shinagawa itself is a company, and all of its residents are employees of that company. There are 3 main roles. The first is the CEO. Below that is the director. And then at the very bottom are the workforce majority, the regular employees. Push hard for that promotion, and maybe a regular employee can be a director. But that's, of course, as high as the ladder goes. After all, the CEO is extraordinarily special. You may as well consider them a god. That much should be obvious, right? Nobody born into mediocrity could be destined to rise to the top of the corporate food chain to be a CEO. And that means you losers will have to butter up the CEO if you want to survive the Great Depression. Well, indeed. Anyway, the rest is pretty similar to any other company. The CEO's favorite becomes the director, and those who don't will continue on as regular employees. So, be sure to shower the CEO with sweet treats as bribes and set your sights on becoming the next director. After having said so much, and with so much enthusiasm, Zero took a sip of the coffee that had been brought to him by his drone before he continued on. Alright, I'm sure this goes without saying, but slacking off work won't fly, got it? Given the state of the economy, the CEO has no interest in keeping slackers around. Once a week, the CEO will lay off at least one regular employee that doesn't meet expectations. So be sure to keep that in mind. And of course, killing another employee or any measure of bribe will result in a layoff. So do your best to stay on the up and up. After hearing Zero's lengthy explanation, Yo found himself disappointed. Treating Shinagawa like a company? He expected a death game would be more cold-blooded and ruthless. The explanation itself, combined with the fact that it had come from the mouth of the cute plushie, left him feeling a mixture of disappointment, confusion, and unease. Why are you Yo, you shouldn't be disappointed. You crazy? It's not interesting enough, apparently. Not to his standards. Flattering your bosses? I guess that really does fit Shinagawa, since it's a city of commerce after all. You'll be battling against the numbers using these governing rules. Only one will emerge victorious. This is XG, the ultimate death game. So we had to battle the numbers using the governing rules? So you're telling me this was your plan all along, bringing us to where the numbers are in Shinagawa? Hehe, I planned out pretty well, didn't I? In any case, it's time for the Shinagawa XG match to begin. As Zero declared the start of the game, a loud fanfare rang out. It seemed that Yo's XG match versus the numbers in Shinagawa City had begun. What kind of absurd game is this? I'm the one meant to receive bribes and flattery, and you expect me to switch roles? Okay. I refuse to take part of your insane games. Is it Asinen games? I don't know if that's the right word. I don't know. Never heard of it. I'm going back to Setagaya. Same here. You can count me out of here with these dumbass games. As they made their way toward the exit, their loud stomps echoed through the lobby. Todoroki, Senju, wait. Why do you say their last names? Oh, they don't say their last names. Okay. Anyways, well, actually no. This part, yes, this is correct. But I'm talking about in terms of Japanese version. But she does not call him Senju. It's Takeo Ichitaro for this one. He did her best to stop them, but they continued to walk off. Then, as if taking on a role of a certain popular anime father scolding his son, Zero began to shout loud angrily. You fool! Just who do you think you are? Trying to run away from your XG match without permission? Have you forgotten that you lost to me in our XP game? If you don't, then let me give you a little reminder of both the final score and how terrifying I can be. Yeah. I can't say that intimidated with your hiya. With that, Zero pressed a switch that he had in his hands, and then a low groan erupted around them. The floor began to quake beneath their feet, and the hotel creaked loudly in turn. What's this shaking? Are we being attacked by a monster or something? Eiji and Hyakuichitaro were both knocked off their feet and right into their backsides, while the rest of the still-seated team quickly grabbed onto the armrest for stability. The shaking only lasted a few seconds, but the light fixtures that hung from the ceiling continued to faintly swing. What the hell was that, Zero? Everything's starting to shake after you yelled. Sorry, excuse me. Oh, I just fired a laser from my pride and joy. Face envoy free. Zero's response was accompanied by a wide smile. Unfortunately, I just went a little overboard with the laser's power, so the coordinates got all jumbled. Seems like it hit somewhere in the ocean. Rest assured though, my next slot will be much more accurate, so you shouldn't try to run away from Shinagawa. Got it? Players can only withdraw once they die. You've got to be kidding me. That was one of Space Envoy's Free's lasers just now? Space Envoy Free. That was the satellite weapon Zero controlled. Even though Yo had already seen people be hit by it, ski and sweet, die before our eyes. Anyways, he still couldn't fathom how much power it really had. The shock of it left him breathless. Tsurugo and the rest of the team fared no better. They were all pale and trembling, despite having seen the lasers from Space Envoy freeze many times on the surface already. That was way more powerful than what we saw in 24 City. If that had hit, and not the ocean, Shinagawa would have been instantly be scorched to nothing more than ashes. Seriously? If that hit someone, they would have been vaporized. I don't even want to think about that. Ugh, I think I'm gonna puke. sorry. I won't run away. I promise. Why did he say that? Why was he? Are you crying, dude? Please, just spare my life. I'm begging you. Citadel's speculation alone was enough to cause all but Q to tremble with fear. The air grew tense with each passing moment and left the entire team short of breath. Nothing scares Q more than himself, probably. Reward. Huh? Did I perhaps overdo it? I didn't expect you all to react this way. After seeing everyone's reactions, Zero's expression shifted to something visibly downcast. It only took a moment, however, for him to recall something to lift his spirits. Ah, right. I have something here that should cheer you all right up. Yep, no doubt about that. I'll tell you right now. He clapped his paws together, making a bit of a plopping sound. With that, the atmosphere in the room began to shift. Listen up, everyone. There's something very exciting that you need to know. Whenever you'll defeat one of the numbers at XG, I'll give you a reward. You should make that something to look forward to. As his voice grew more lively, Zero's tail began to bounce. Yo didn't falter, however, his gaze fixed intently on Zero. Huh? What's this? Yo, could it be that you're not happy about my reward system? Zero peered at Yo, but received a little more than a glare in response. Do you really expect me to be motivated by the idea of my enemy rewarding me? Is this some kind of joke? No, not at all. I'm being quite serious, actually. Look, take Ski here, for example. Huh? Me? Ski flinched in surprise as Zero pointed in her direction. Surely you haven't forgotten how distraught you were when Ski was hit by that laser, Yo. It had me feeling guilty, so I made sure to patch her right up. Zero's shocking admission caused everyone in the group to stir. Wait, but that means back then, Ski really... Yo's throat went dry. He tensed up, tightly gripping the edge of his seat. Hold on, just wait a second. You mean what everyone was saying before was actually true? The color quickly drained from Ski's face. I really died? Are you really saying that Ski died and you just brought her back to life? Don't be ridiculous. That defies any sort of logic. It was definitely a fatal wound, but if she didn't die, then Zero tended her. I mean, even if that were true, there's nothing normal about being totally healed up with no scarring. My powers may be abnormal, but they're also incredible. Do you understand now just how amazing my rewards can be? As he spoke, Zero puffed out his chest like a king. All right, Zero. Silence fell over the room as the group tried their best to wrap their minds around what Zero had told them. Yo and Ski exchanged glances as they realized they had a glimmer of hope for something very specific. Sui, what happened to Sui? If you were able to heal Ski, then... Right, what about Sui? The three of us need to be together. Come on, tell us what happened to him already. If Ski was alive, then surely Sui must have been too. That was the hope they both held onto as they pressed Zero for answers. I wonder what happened. I was totally wiped after our XP games, so I don't really remember too well. What? Oh, cut the crap already. You were never gonna tell us what happened to him to begin with. Whatever. That's how it's gonna be, then we'll just have to take down the numbers. Then I'll use one of your rewards to make you tell us where Sui is. Works for me. If you really want to know so badly, then I'll tell you as one of the regular rewards should you earn any. Zero jumped down in delight at how motivated Yo appeared to be. That said, you can't ask for certain things. Resurrections, changing Neo Tokyo, things like that. Those kinds of wishes can only be granted as an ultra reward to the person who survives all of the XG games. He added further explanation to clarify the specific way he intended to handle matters. I don't get it. What's the difference between that and a regular reward? Regular rewards are granted based on how I'm feeling. Ultra rewards, on the other hand, are very special. That's when I can use my grand powers to give you whatever your little hearts desire. So what do you think? Are you all fired up for your XG matches now? Whatever we want, you say. That's a little more exciting. Don't let your desires blind you. If you do, you'll just fall into the trap of being manipulated by this guy and cause your own undoing. Well, I think I'll be off now. After all, I have to go to another city to explain XG rules to members of the numbers. Make sure you do your best, everyone! A moment later, one of the drones grabbed Zero like a prize in a claw machine and began to carry him towards the exit. Excuse me, I have a question I'd like to ask first. Tsuruko called out to Zero, prompting him to stop before he exited. Oh, what is it, Tsuruko? So, about the layoff part in the gunring rules, do you mean to say that it's the same as losing your job? Interpreting it literally, that's what it sounds like, but that sounds a little too lenient for how your punishments are usually carried out. Ah, you're right. My apologies. It must be difficult to understand without an example. Just give me a moment and I'll prepare something quickly for you. After saying that, Zero was carried off somewhere. And there he goes. Jeez, I am so exhausted. I was seriously about to wet my pants. I can't believe that really happened to me. But if it's true, then how am I here? Anxiously, Ski touched her head. There was nothing resembling a wound there, which only served to make her even more uneasy. Try not to worry about it too much. What's important is that you're alive and well, and I'm sure Sweet is too. We just need to confirm it for ourselves. Yo did his best to try to ease Ski of her concerns. Yeah, you're right. Not much point in getting worked up over it now. Well, either way, it seems like Zero will be coming back soon. Why don't we take a little break in the meanwhile? Agreed. That'll give us a chance to stretch our legs for a bit. Okay. Where are you going? Everyone fell silent as they collected their thoughts and came to terms with the harsh reality they've been faced with. The anxiety caused by the Trash Tribe being separated, the overwhelmingly disadvantageous is what word of that? That's so hard for me to say, man. Disadvantage is, that sounds so weird. Conditions Zero had set for them. No matter how many angles they looked at it from, they couldn't come up with a viable way to overthrow him. And with the sinister extreme struggle known as XG awaiting them, they had to prepare to throw down in a true battle royale where their very survival was at stake. The man with long, flowing white hair. Oh, I already know who this is then. Yo and the remaining members of the team gather around a table to hold a strategy meeting after Zero left. However, the conversation only went in circles without Kazuki there to mediate as he usually would. Damn, really wish Kazuki was here right now. Perhaps we could send him a message on 9? Seems like there's some kind of outrage right now. It's not letting me send any messages. Figures. If our battle is here in Shinagawa, maybe it helped to recruit some more people to our side? That won't cut it. Just adding more team members recklessly increases the odds of hurting more than helping. If we want to add anyone, we have to give it some serious consideration first. I see what you're saying, but when you put it like that, will we really be okay at our current strength? As each conversation seemed to stall at that end, the group eventually fell quiet. They sat with their heavy silence until the hotel entrance doors opened, after which a few people entered the building. In all, it appeared to be a group of 10 people. A man with long, flowing red hair, aka the episode title, stood among them. His face was handsome. Oh, yeah, sure, he's handsome, not to me. With features that appeared modellesque. Can't say these words. In nature. The tinted sunglasses he wore also seemed to suit him quite well. Why am I complimenting this guy? The man led a group of men and women donning white suits, all of whom confidently made their way to the center of the lobby. We've finally arrived. I graced them with my presence, yet no one is here to greet me. My apologies. I'll be sure to give the manager a stern talking to. You'll wonder if that man was their boss. In the meanwhile, the man had begun to cuss at those around him, causing the men and women in the white suits to bow their heads in fear. Not much of a fan of guys like that, Yo muttered out his honest thoughts, and the rest of them shifted their gaze in the direction of the man in response. Oh, those people standing around that man with long hair looked like members of the Shinagawa tribe. Shinagawa tribe? The Shinagawa tribe is known for being a business organization that has the tech to develop XP gear. Look closely. See how those earrings have QR codes engraved in them? That's all the proof you need to confirm that they're part of the Shinagawa tribe. Tribes initially were comprised of young outlaws who had banded together. That made the fact that a tribe was operating as a business rather strange. Still, Yo and Ski both were impressed by that revelation. Ski proceeded to offer more context to her explanation. Well, I guess it's more accurate to say they were known for that. Given the current situation and implementation of the governing rules, I'm not so sure that's still true. It was just as Sudoku had explained. With the way things had escalated away from the once existing peace, very few things had remained the same as they previously were. The thought caused Yo to clench his fists in sheer frustration at the destruction Zero had caused. For a split second, he made eye contact with the white-haired man. He quickly shifted his gaze elsewhere as he realized he probably held his stare for too long. It was too late though. The man had begun to walk towards him. Now go away! I take it you're the new employees? What's it to you? Despite it being their first conversation, Yo found himself growing annoyed at the man's arrogance. I'm not a member of the Shinagawa tribe, don't be mistaken. That said, if you are employees, then you do well to remember the director's face. Did you just say you're the director? Upon hearing that title, everyone in the group was quick to jump onto their feet. After all, the governing rules of Shinagawa dictated that the current champion held the title of director, which was to say, "Hey, boy, Ichinose." My name is Kazuma Ichinose. I'm your opponent in this XG match, as well as Zero's appointed and number 1. That is something else you do well to remember. The man who called himself Kazuma emphasized his point by pushing up his sunglasses. This guy is one of the numbers? And number 1 to boot, that means he's definitely strong too, right? In a situation like this, the one who gets scared off first definitely loses. The revelation that Kazuma was one of the numbers immediately set the entire group on edge. Kazuma, on the other hand, had an easy smile tugging at the corners of his mouth. Determined to not be overwhelmed by his aura, Yo kept his gaze fixed on Kazuma. It's finally time. Now that it's here and we're face to face like this, my legs feel shaky. That's an understandable feeling. After all, I can't imagine it's possible for you to not be nervous when in the grand presence of the city's director. I can't say I expected any of the numbers to show up so suddenly. We shouldn't waste this opportunity. Hell yeah, let me at him. I'll take this punk down and become a true man. With Q at the forefront, Yo and Hyaku Ichitaro both took fighting stances. My, you really plan to start like this, here and now? Well, I suppose that's alright. We can get this minor task taken care of quickly. Just as Sparks was about to fly between the two teams, the sudden sound of a whistle interrupted them. Everyone looked around, and a moment later, a black hole appeared. From that hole, an ugly, cute plushie jumped out. Zero, of course. Phew! I'm out! No fighting, you hear me? Zero, why are you here? Isn't it obvious? I came here to stop you all. Listen up. Did you ever forget what I told you about the importance of the governing rules? You have to abide by them, no matter what. Just like the promise to marry your bride after you return from war. Isn't that a promise that gets broken pretty often? Signal point out the flawed logic nervously, but Zero continued on without paying her any mind. Killing outside the rules is strictly prohibited. No ifs, ands, or buts. Don't go breaking any more rules. If you keep acting out of your own accord, then I'll make it rain lasers. Got it? Hey, Yo. He grabbed onto Yo's sleeve, her hand trembling. He already been shot by Space and Voice Freeze laser once before. Because of that, she knew better than anyone else just how terrifying that threat was. Got it. Loud and clear. You won't fight here. Glad to hear you understand. Games are meant to be fun, after all. Now then, Kazuma, please make sure to show them that thing we talked about. And make sure to get a proper explanation of things. As you wish, Zero. Kazuma then bowed to Zero as if he were a knight. Well, it's about time for my nap, so I'm out. Do your best, everyone. With that, Zero opened another black hole, size perfectly fit for only him before vanishing inside of it. So, what exactly did he want you to show us? The layoff system. The layoffs. It was one aspect of the governing rules that they hadn't understood. Yo was left to wonder why Zero had left Kazuma in charge of explaining it to them. Well, they be explaining, but also to show them. Yo, please step back. That man is dangerous. The voice was accompanied by the tapping heels against the floor. After a moment, the manager breathlessly stood between Yo and Kazuma. Oh, you're the manager. My apologies. It seems that you've experienced some hardships while I was away. Please just leave the rest to me. You again? Be gone. You're in the way. As a manager of this hotel, ensuring the guests have a pleasant stay and that they aren't bothered by uninvited guests, it's part of my job. With that in mind, I asked you to leave the premises immediately. Your sort are not welcome here. The manager spread her arms wide as if to protect Yo and the rest of the team. Still, it seemed that she was frightened. Despite that, her voice quavered as she spoke. Are you ordering me around? Me, director, and number one? Kazuma's eyes shot open wide as he trembled with anger. Gentle as I may be, my patience still has limits. You continue to stand in my way at every opportunity. You opt to remember that I only turn a blind eye to your behavior because you're the manager of such a renowned hotel. Understood? There are some things in this life I would never compromise on. I would rather die than obey you. Oh, you'd rather die, you say? Then perhaps we should put your convictions to the test. It's the perfect time to do so. After all, considering Zero requested I give him an explanation about this very thing. Wait, you don't mean? I'm glad you understand. Go on, cease this fool of a messenger. Yes, sir. The Shinagawa tribe members bowed in response to Kazuma's orders before running to surround the manager and restrain her. Stop it! Get your hands off of me! The manager cried out, but resistance was futile against the sheer numbers he was up against. Miss Manager! Yo sprinted towards them, however. Please don't do anything rash. Damn it. What the hell do you think you're doing? The members of the Shinagawa tribe seized Yo as well. Hugh moved to try and help Yo, but one of the men of the Shinagawa tribe anticipated his actions. He pulled out a thin blade and held it to the manager's throat. The light reflected brightly off the ceiling lights. They gripped the manager's shoulders even tighter, and her breath grew shallow in response. Hugh realized that if he moved, they would spill blood. He stopped, raising his hands in surrender before he took a quiet step back. Kazuma's not part of the Shinagawa tribe, right? So why are you following his orders? None of this makes any sense. Ski knew that she couldn't best them physically, so instead, she called out to the members of the Shinagawa tribe in an attempt to appeal their sensibilities. She received no response, however, as they pretended not to hear what she has to say. This is precisely why tribes and those who have abandoned the cogs of society are so troublesome. These people here are doing their best to integrate back into society. Their actions and behaviors are nothing more than doing what they should as humans. Society? This has nothing to do with this. That's where you're wrong. You see, the governing rules are what make up our current society. And you see, society itself has become a game. These are rules, and evaluations are given based on those rules. So whether or not you like this game is completely irrelevant to the situation. What are you even talking about right now? You still don't understand? Since ancient times, humanity developed within the framework of a society. It wouldn't be an exaggeration to say it's because of society that we can live balanced lives without having to worry about basic necessities to survive. And just who evaluates you? Family, friends, even complete strangers. That's all part of society, right? But now society itself has been corrupted thanks to the trash, bastards like you, who've turned their backs on society that exists after all. Zero noticed this and took the time to build a new social structure for us. One where the governing rules reward only those who contribute and follow the rules. Was this some kind of stage play? Kazuma almost seemed like an actor, given how theatrically he spoke while his hair and scarf seemed to flutter. Yo quickly realized that Kazuma was serious, though. It was dizzying for him to consider their massive differences in perspectives. It's not very surprising to hear that a champion of the governing rules would have such a different way of seeing things. Until now, Neo Tokyo, no. The entire world has failed us to understand the game that is society and have treated all far too lightly. That's why Shinagawa City's current society is so beautiful. I can't even fathom the idea that any other city could possess a greater beauty than this. How long are you gonna yak for? It's about time you got off your high horse. It appears my words are lost on your brats. It'd be a waste of my breath to say anything more. Kazuma came to the conclusion that continuing the conversation would be a little more than a waste of time. He sighed, exasperation present on his face as he turned his gaze towards the entrance. Hey, what are y'all waiting for? Take the manager to the layoff plaza at once. The doors to the front entrance opened just as Kazuma barked out his orders. This is the manager that's to be arrested, correct? Don't make this any harder than it needs to be. The group that had entered the lobby wore masks that fully covered their faces with the number 24 on them, quite obviously marking them as 24 tribe enforcers led by Zero. Yo could hardly believe that they also took orders from Kazuma, one of the numbers. Stop it! Let me go! The manager struggled frantically to break free, but the 24 tribe enforcers dragged her toward the exit. Stop! Get away from her! Yo did his best to shake off the members of the Shinagawa tribe that were still restraining him. But, don't move! They were quick to grab Yo once more. Well then, I believe it's time I take my leave. Be sure to come to the layoff plaza later. And don't be late, alright? That's the golden rule of properly doing business, after all. He offered a smirk in Yo's direction before he, as well as the manager, left the building. Once Kazuma was completely out of their line of sight, the Shinagawa tribe members that had been restraining Yo began to whisper to one another. Yo couldn't make out what they were saying. After a moment, the members nodded and released Yo before quickly taking off. Taku Ichitaro gave chase, determined to give them a piece of his mind. However, Q determined that would be a waste of their time and grabbed him by the collar to prevent him from going further. Do you know where this layoff plaza is? The fastest way to get there would be through the access bridge that connects to the 10th floor. Excuse me again. We better hurry. The clock's ticking. We cannot afford to waste any time. Everyone nodded in unison, and before long, they took off toward the layoff plaza to rescue the manager. That is, if they can. The layoff plaza. The group rode the elevator to the 10th floor, and after going down a short flight of emergency exit stairs, they arrived at the bridge that connected to the hotel to the layoff plaza. According to Sudoku, the bridge was once a bustling path for the white-collared workers of Shinagawa City. However, these days it's practically a ghost town, as they only saw a handful of people as they made their way towards the plaza. The Shinagawa cityscape flew by as they continued onward. As they were running, a sign with the words "Meeting Plaza up ahead" caught their attention. For a moment, everyone began to worry they were heading the wrong way. But then they passed another sign that had the word "Meeting" crossed out and replaced by "Layoff." After running for a while longer, the group arrived at the open space. It was rather eerie due to a number of streetlights. Ugh, it reeks in here. No kidding, I'd never smelled something so foul. Perhaps they laid off the janitors. As they walked closer to the center, the rotten odor grew ever stronger, stopping them dead in their tracks. I know what the smell is. Oh, dude. The source of the stench seemed to be the object before them. It was much taller than Q, who was already very tall, and much wider than Eiji, who was already very wide. It was so big, it was as if it could swallow them all in one gulp. Oh, the foreshadowing of that. Just what is up with this thing? It even got a mask. As Yo gazed upon it, he noticed a mask that resembled the face of Zero's plushy form. An unsettling feeling washed over Yo as he continued to stare at the eerie object. Looking at its shape, could this be? I'm getting a real bad feeling about this. What's up? You know something we don't? Well, back in the Middle Ages, it was a device used for torture. The sound of loud echoing footsteps interrupted Sitko's explanation. As the group turned to look, they saw Kazuma leading a congregation of people toward them. Ah, wonderful! You've all finally decided to show up. It was taking you so very long to get here that I was worried you all ran away. Everyone, why are you here? The manager was pushed to the forefront. Just hold on, manager. We'll get you free in just a moment. Haha, how very mature of you. But I'm afraid your time is up. Huh? What do you mean time's up? Gong, 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 gong. The sound of a bell suddenly rang throughout the plaza, interrupting the conversation. Eek! What was that? A clock bell? But why would it ring at a time like this? Yo looked up toward the clock that was emanating the sound of the bell. Both the minute and hour hands were pointing straight upward. It was midnight. An eerie feeling gripped the night as it continues to ring out. All anyone could do was stand there confused. But suddenly, the object before them began violently shaking. Attention everyone, it's time for this week's layoff. Then the red eyes on the mask lit up and it began talking. What? Where in the world did that voice came from? It seems as though it came from that strange object. Hush. The CEO has awakened. The CEO? Is that the guy Zero mentioned back when he was explaining the rules? It wouldn't be wise to start causing commotion, so everyone instead chose to remain stock still. Good morning. Wait, morning. Wait, isn't it midnight? Or what time is it? I don't even know. Good morning, CEO. Did you manage to sleep well? As he spoke, Kazuma put on his best customer service smile and faced the object. Oh yeah, baby. Oh yeah, baby. I got a ton of sleep, so I'm feeling great. It was likely that object being referred to as the CEO was in charge of the company. All of this was part of Zero's plan. It finally clicked in Yo's head. The explanation from earlier, how could they only reach the level of director? The CEO wasn't a role for regular players to fulfill, rather it was simply just one in charge of passing judgment. Perfect. I'm very pleased to hear that. I apologize, but I would like to get to the matter at hand. I'd like to nominate this manager here for this week's layoffs. You see, she disrespected me, the director, on multiple occasions, and even aided the regular employees without consent. Okie dokie, if it's you reporting this, there's no way it's wrong. Thank you very much. Well then, no time like the present. Wait, please stop. CEO, please listen to my side of things. The moment Kazuma and the CEO's back and forth ended, the manager pleaded with the CEO. However, it was as if it fell upon deaf ears, its eyes continuing to glow sharply. There's no use in making a commotion, Miss Manager. Everything's already been decided. Besides, as I'm sure you're aware, the CEO can only hear my voice, the voice of the director. But, no buts. This is also punishment for making a fool out of me. It's far too late to only just begin regretting your actions. Everyone, something doesn't feel right about this. We have to do something to save her. Yes. Yeah, it's now or never. The group nodded at each other. Really now? You're planning on getting in the way? You all might not be aware of this, but all of this abides by the rules put in place. Zero explained to you what would happen if you broke the rules, didn't he? Damn it! Why? Damn it! Is he talking about the laser? This is bad. What do we do? The manager was right in front of them, but Yo was powerless to do anything. All he could do was grit his teeth as he thought about the situation. The layoff CEO. Let's go. Layoffs, get on with it. I'm getting bored over here. My apologies for making you wait. If you would be so kind as to do the honors. Roger, let's get this show on the road. It's time for the long-awaited layoff notice. You all will do well to sit and watch in silence. It's happening. Be careful not to get caught in the process. Don't be afraid. Come. The CEO's eyes flickering more intensely, and the sound of creaking metal reverberated throughout the plaza. The Shinagawa tribe members who were restraining the manager let her go and stepped backwards. Then the area underneath the CEO's face, the object's torso, opened up. While the inside was hollow, the walls were lined with an innumerable number of spikes. Yo suddenly understood why Q and Tsurugo were puzzled when they first laid eyes on the CEO's outside appearance. It was a torture device from the Middle Ages, an Iron Maiden. But a tool in one of Zero's games wouldn't stop at just being a regular torture device. Before they knew it, a wave of black hands emerged from the inside and gripped the manager's throat. Stop! Please! Help me! I don't want to be laid off! The manager begged and pleaded for her life as she extended her hands towards Kazuma. How uncuff? I don't know. It's far too late to start begging for your life now. I want you to regret defying us until you expel your last breath. Kazuma just stared onward with glee as he ignored the hands outstretched towards him. The manager desperately tried to hold on and not get pulled in, but the hands suddenly grasped her feet and knocked her over. Wait! Crunch. In the blink of an eye, the CEO pulled them in the manager, the doors firmly clasped shut behind her. And then, you know what time it is? Layoff time. The CEO took its thumb and dragged it across their neck. A blade positioned near its throat and moved with a sharp sound. Ah! A blood-curdling scream echoed out before falling silent. After a few moments, dark red liquid that carried with it the scent of iron began spilling out onto the floor. Oh no, he's delusional, look at that. Haha. Just hearing this scream sent a shiver of excitement down to my spine. No matter how many times I witness this, it never gets old. This is what happens when you get laid off. Did you burn that image into your brains? No, this can't be. The manager is... It all happened far too quickly, too easily. One moment she was exchanging words with them, and the next moment she was gone. Yo felt as if he could hear everyone's heart shatter from the despair. There's no way. This can't be happening. I can't stand this. The look of despair adorning your faces is second to none. Make sure to always remember this feeling, you useless brats. Damn you. Do you really think you were going to let you get away with this? Yo shouted at the CEO, but it gave him no response. Don't ignore me. Say something, damn it. I understand how you're feeling, but it's pointless. You heard what he said earlier. The CEO can only hear the director's voice. Then I'll force him to listen. Just as Yo's rage was about to boil over. Yo, no! Don't do anything rash. Tsurugo yanked on his clothes, knocking him onto his back. Don't try to stop me, Tsurugo. Please, control yourself. If we get on the CEO's nerves and become unfavored employees, then you'll be the next on the chopping block. Just listen to Tsurugo. I'm angry too, but you have to control yourself. No. The pain from falling to the ground helped Yo come back to his senses. If Tsurugo hadn't stopped him, he probably would have rushed right up to the CEO and gotten himself killed for violating the rules. Yo couldn't help but feel pathetic for not being able to do anything for the manager. My, you all look so unsightly. Perhaps it's time we take a group photo to commemorate this wondrous event. If you give me your contact information, I'll even send it to you. Oh no. Wait, I need to sneeze. Wait, hold on, I need to mute this for a second. Okay, never mind. I didn't sneeze. Okay, it felt like I was gonna sneeze. Alright. Kaza had a big grin on his face and he looked down upon Yo and the others. Are you kidding me? Someone just died. Ha! You should be a torch. Wait, you should be a touch more grateful. After all, I kept you alive despite you opposing me. Isn't that right, CEO? Again, Kazuma began speaking to CEO, but... CEO? Candy detected. Candy detected. The CEO ignored Cosmo completely and began rocking side to side in high spirits. Huh? What's gotten into him? I just love candy, but this is not a Japanese trait. Explain yourself right now. However, his high spirits didn't last long, and he immediately began stomping in frustration, glaring at Yo. What? Candy? As Yo stood up, he found a small wrapped object by his feet. It must have fallen out of his pocket when he fell over. As he was about to pick it up, he realized it was the candy the manager had given him. Yo slowly picked up the dear piece of candy and put it back in his pocket. But then a question sprung to the forefront in his mind. This doesn't make any sense. He was ignoring me this whole time. So why did he react when I dropped a piece of candy? Ignoring the question, Kazuma and the CEO began having a conversation once more. CEO, please calm down. If you like some treats, then I have a great idea. Huh? What is it? Tell me. Tell me. You see, the truth is that these people here are brand new employees. New employees? Oh, right. That means they brought gifts with them, of course. Usually, yes. But you see, it seems like they choose not bring any. What? How disrespectful. Where are their manners? Oh, I feel the exact same way. So as director, I'll make sure I give them a stern talking to. Furthermore, I'll make them bring a magnificent gift to you another day in order to earn your forgiveness. Is there anything in particular you like to receive? Let's see. As long as it's a Japanese trait, pretty much anything will do. But, oh, I really, really love some Azuchi Momoyama more than anything else in the world. That Castella is to die for. Castella, huh? What? They say it's a once in a lifetime trait. Anyone who can bring it to me will be made the director. Haha, even the jokester. As if anyone else could be the director. Well, it's a rare sweet after all. It's more fitting. It's the most fitting reward for the person who can bring it to me. But it's pretty much an impossible task, isn't it? At any rate, I'll make them bring you something. So please find it somewhere in your heart to forgive them. Okay, well, it's about time for my nap. If you don't bring me anything, you're not going to like the result. The moment it finished talking, the light behind the CEO's eyes vanished, as if it had shut down. Just who do you think you are speaking for us? How rude. Is that how you should be going around asking a question, newbie? Truth be told, I don't have any real obligation to answer such impolite questions. But I, as number one, have a deep sense of compassion. Sure he does. Okay, so I'm willing to throw you a bone this time. If you don't do anything, you'll be the ones getting laid off next week. As he spoke, Kazuma mimicked the CEO from earlier and made a throat-cutting gesture toward the group. Just stop this nonsense already. There was no mention of that before. Ski, it's very dangerous to talk back like that. I'll explain everything in a bit. What a relief. At least one of you has a functioning brain. Do your best to come up with the ways to survive. Until then, I bid you adieu. Kazuma weakly waved his hand as he walked away with his entourage. So many events happened back to back in a short amount of time. Yo was having a hard time keeping up. But one thing was for certain. If they don't do anything, at this rate, they'll face the same fate as the manager. Yahoo, everyone! It must have been real tough to go through all that, huh? I'm really worried. Do you all really have what it takes to survive in this city? Not even getting a second to compose themselves. The poorly made Zero plushie suddenly appeared. Eek! You're back? You betcha! I figured at a time like this, you all could really use a guide. You know what you gotta do. We don't have time to waste talking to a piece of crap like you. Make yourself scarce. Oh, so harsh, but if you say so, yo, I'll be a good boy and leave. After being snapped at by Yo, Zero turned around and left. As he trotted away, he looked back a few times, but everyone just ignored him. Afterward, Yo and the others put their hands together in prayer for the manager and left the layoff plaza in silence. The metallic floor of the bridge rang out as they walked back. The flickering neon lights were the only thing helping them press on. After what felt like an eternity, they finally arrived at the 10th floor of the Shinagawa Princess Hotel, and everyone returned to their respective rooms. Oh, the bed was... Before he could collapse on the bed, Yo noticed the bed had been neatly made from the disheveled state he had left in the morning. A card stating that the bed was made was left on the pillow. But as he took the card in his hands, he noticed the manager's handwriting on the back. Yo, things are only going to get harder from here, but let's try to do our best together. Seeing those words filled Yo with warmth, but also a deep sadness. Manager, I'm sorry. Despite doing so much for us, we couldn't save you. Yo took out the candy from his pocket, unwrapping it and popping it in his mouth. He then collapsed on the bed. I'll avenge you, I promise. Yo repeated that to himself over and over and over again. You got mail! The sun had already started to go down by the time everyone had met up at the entrance. It seemed as though no one had been able to get some sleep until early morning. About half of the group had visibly puffy eyes, but they couldn't mourn forever. Yo and the others set out to look for sweet Japanese treats to give to the CEO, but none of the stores they went to had any in stock. But that was expected. Sweet Japanese treats were a necessity to remain alive in the current state of Shinagawa City. Everyone was desperately gathering them up to give to the CEO to avoid getting laid off. And since they had just started their hunt, there was no way they would easily come across some. This is so frustrating. We've been searching high and low for sweet Japanese treats, but every single time we turn up with nothing. On the other hand, we keep finding a ton of salty Japanese snacks. This sucks. Even the local specialty shop in Shinagawa Station was completely sold out, as everyone was rather dejected due to not being able to hide nor hear any of any treats. A notification sound broke through the dorm in gloom. Yo realized it was his phone that made the noise and quickly took it out. To his surprise, he found a message in his inbox. Huh? A message? Getting a message these days is rather rare. Yeah, it's weird. Let me see what it says. Normally he didn't open messages from senders he didn't recognize, but Yo went ahead and opened this one without hesitation. Greetings. I am reaching out in regards to a request made by one Kazuki Ayama. I apologize for the inconvenience, but we like to change the location for the meeting. We'll be waiting for you at the transportation district on Hades Isle. M.O. Wonder what they meant by requests received by Kazuki. Everyone huddled too close to Yo as he read the message out loud. Just who in the world could be N.O.B.? That couldn't be anyone suspicious if it tried, but well, we don't really have any other leads. So what's the plan? At this point, nothing's better than nothing. Let's check it out. Q not in agreement. What's that saying again? Oh right, nothing ventured and nothing gained. I guess it's time to stop moping around and instead getting going. Everyone found their second when they decided to head over to the transportation district on Hades Isle. But as soon as they started walking, they found themselves lost. They managed to get back on track using GPS, but the road along the way was blocked off. Due to not being familiar with the area, Yo and the others decided to return to the hotel and ask other guests for directions. It seemed as though the guests had managed to learn about the manager being laid off were also deeply heartbroken. Nevertheless, Being asked for directions to Hades' Isle gave them the purpose and seemingly raised their spirits, helping them give clear directions. There was a second bridge that was connected to the 10th floor of the hotel. If they went to the opposite way of Lea Plaza, they would reach their destination. By the time they arrived at the bridge, the evening breeze had begun to pick up, and the city lights were starting to come on one by one. The lights guided them as they made their way to Hades' Isle. There's no one here. I wonder if this is even the right place. When they arrived at the transportation district, they found stacked shipping containers as far as the eye could see. The area was completely silent. The only movement anyone could make out were the forklift warning lights blinking in the distance. This is starting to feel like a gigantic waste of time. I mean, this area is pretty big. Doesn't hurt to split up and take a look around. There won't be any of that. Pardon my bad manners. But are you all from Trash Tribe? A voice echoed out from the shadows, causing everyone to take a defensive stance. Suddenly, a woman with long blue hair held back in a yellow hairband appeared in front of them. She glared at them with sharp, almost cat-looking yellow eyes. Her face was expressionless as she pushed up her rather uniquely shaped glasses. Yeah, that's right. And who are you? Ooh, that's a good picture. Look at that. My apologies for contacting you out of the blue. I'm Emo, or rather, Minami Oi. It's a pleasure to meet all of you. After learning that she was the sender of the message, everyone calmed down a little bit. Hey, what's up with this request from Kazuki? You came all the way over here to hear about it. Pardon? You're telling me you haven't heard from him? Can't say we have. What's your connection to him? We crossed paths a couple of times back when he was a member of Minato tribe. I was surprised he suddenly contacted me, but considering he's nowhere to be seen, I can only surmise that something's happened to him. Minami paused for a few seconds, then continued speaking. The truth of the matter is that he contacted me a while back saying he needed my help with something. However, I stopped hearing from him, which is what brought me to you. Mr. Kuronaka, you were the emergency contact I was given when I asked. Oh, that reminds me. Back when we were cleaning, Kazuki was tapping away on his phone the whole time. Maybe that's when he was talking with Minami? Probably. He definitely wasn't helping with cleaning much. I also remember how Kazuki mentioned that he was making preparations for our XG match. It finally clicked that he must have been talking about Minami Oi. If you found yourselves in a bit of a bind, please tell me about it. Maybe I can help. After all, in order to survive this game, swapping with another is crucial. There was something about Minami's straightforward stare that brought some warmth to Yo's heart. Everyone looked at each other and nodded. With that in mind, Yo decided to trust her and return with a soft smile. We found ourselves in a pretty crappy situation, honestly. If you'd be willing to lend us a hand, we would really appreciate it. You're trusting me? Thank you. Though, looking at you all, well, I suppose things don't always go the way you expect them to. Minami gave them a reassuring nod, but then quickly let out a worried sigh. Hey, you looking down at us? We're not a bunch of weaklings. If you're looking for a fight, you've come to the right place. Oh my, please, that's not what I meant at all. It's just that... Spit it out then. I hate it when people tiptoe around what they mean. Calm down. It doesn't seem like she's trying to belittle us. Hugh placed his hands on Hyaku Ichiharu's head as he began throwing a tantrum, keeping him away from Minami. Sorry for him. He's just like that. We really appreciate if you could tell us what's on your mind, though. Of course. The truth is, I asked you all to come meet me. But seeing how this would be the first time we met, I went and got descriptions of each of you from Mr. Ioma and plunged them into an AI model to produce images of you. Thing is, the results were quite off. So I was just thinking to myself that the technology is still far from being practical. Minami pulled out 3 autographs. The first one was an AI image based on Yo. The issue with this one was that there was no person in it at all. Instead, it was a photo of a small black bird who just hatched from its egg. The second one was an image based off of ski. The keywords given to the AI were most likely blonde hair and pigtails. The girl in the photo was an overly glamorized fighter girl with a smile across the entire image. What? Why am I a bird? Yo's photo really perplexed him. Whoa, AI means so cute! With a little work, do you think I could look like that? He, on the other hand, was over the moon about the pretty girl in the photo. Hehe. Well, I guess it certainly resembles your features, though, enough. Yeah, I mean, like, at least some of it matches. It got the blonde hair. Ida has been over-enhanced to the point where it looks like a completely different person. Meanwhile, this photograph of me is practically one-to-one. Could this mean that even AI bows its head to my nobility? They then took a look at the third photo. It was AG. Although slightly embellished, it was the most accurate of the three. Well, except for the fact he was wearing a toga from ancient Greece. But what stood out the most was just how much skin he was showing. Yeah, if you just think of it, if you really, I mean, it's a good thing they mentioned about the toga and the ancient Greece outfit, because if you think how much skin showing, you can't even see it. Once you play the game, you know exactly what he looks like. Well, for you, Mr. Todoroki, there were some blurry images circulating online, so I plugged those into the model. That's why yours resembles you the closest. But I suppose it's always going to be tough to rely on newly emerging technologies. Everyone focus. We're getting too carried away with all this talk about AI. Let's get back on the topic. Minami realized just how derailed the conversation had gotten. She cleared her throat with a cough and adjusted her expression on her face. Okay, oops. As I said, I'm only doing half of this because if I read the other half, my voice, I'm gonna die. So anyways, we're gonna end it off with that episode. So I'll be back tomorrow evening at 9 p.m. Well, maybe 8 p.m. Eastern. If not, it'll be 9 p.m. But we are gonna continue on the rest of the episodes. We're gonna go from episodes 15 to 28 to finish off chapter 1, and then I officially read it. So anyways, thank you so much for watching. I'll be back tomorrow evening. Like I said, maybe 8 p.m. Maybe. And then other than that, enjoy the rest of your night, and I'll see you tomorrow evening. Okay.